Andy Townsend says he would not swap Gabriel Martinelli for Bradley Barcola. And honestly, that sounds ridiculous for about 5 seconds. Barcola is younger. He looks smoother carrying the ball. He plays for Paris Saint-Germain. And he appears to possess exactly what Arsenal have been searching for on the left. Speed. 1 versus 1 threat. Unpredictability. But then you see the figure being discussed. £145 million. Now the question changes. Because Arsenal would not be paying £145 million simply to find somebody slightly better than Martinelli. At that price, Barcola would need to transform the attack, and that is the case we need to investigate. Let's be precise before transfer rumors become transfer facts. Arsenal have been linked with Barcola. Reports suggest PSG could demand as much as £145 million, but Arsenal have not submitted a confirmed £145 million bid. That distinction matters. The valuation creates the debate. It does not prove that Arsenal are ready to pay it, but the interest itself makes sense. Martinelli scored only once in the Premier League last season. He started just 11 league matches. His place on Arsenal's left is no longer protected by his performances from 3 or 4 years ago. Barcola, meanwhile, scored 11 league goals for PSG. He is 23. He is quick, direct, and capable of attacking defenders from either side. On the surface, this looks like the upgrade Arsenal supporters have demanded, but football transfers are not won on the surface. Because if Arsenal replace Martinelli, they are not replacing a completely useless player. They would be replacing someone who knows this league, understands Arteta's demands, and still contributed 11 goals across all competitions during what many consider a bad season. So here is the real question. Would Arsenal be buying a genuinely transformative left winger, or paying a superstar price to replace one inconsistent attacker with another? Case opened. Let's begin with the uncomfortable evidence. One Premier League goal is not enough. Not for a winger playing in a title-winning Arsenal team, not for a player who once scored 15 league goals in a season, and certainly not if Arsenal want equal danger on both sides of their attack. When Saka receives the ball, opponents panic. They move a midfielder across. They send the full-back support. Sometimes 2 defenders are waiting before Saka even turns. That should create an opportunity on Arsenal's left. But if the opposition does not fear the player receiving there, the advantage disappears. That is Martinelli's problem. The raw speed remains. In fact, he was recorded at 36.74 kilometers per hour last season, among the fastest speeds in the Premier League. But speed without consistent influence becomes decorative. Too many attacks end with Martinelli receiving wide, facing a settled defender, and either returning the ball or forcing an action that is no longer available. Some of that belongs to him. The decision-making has not developed consistently enough. The final ball can disappear. His confidence rises and falls. And after several seasons, Arsenal cannot explain every poor performance through the left-sided structure. At some point, the player must own the output. But here is where the prosecution becomes too easy. Martinelli scored 6 times in the Champions League last season. He still finished with 11 goals in all competitions. He remained dangerous when Arsenal could release him into space rather than asking him to dismantle a packed defense from a standing start. So perhaps Martinelli has not lost his ability. Perhaps Arsenal's evolution has reduced the situations in which his ability is most valuable. He is devastating when the match becomes open. Arteta's Arsenal rarely want matches to become open. That creates a brutal contradiction. Martinelli may still be a dangerous winger, but he might no longer be the correct winger for the football Arsenal now play, and that is a much stronger reason to consider Barcola than simply saying supporters have run out of patience. Now we get to Barcola, and this is where highlights can deceive you. Watch his best moments and the attraction is obvious. He receives the ball and immediately threatens the defender. He can stay wide. He can move inside. He can accelerate without needing 3 touches to prepare himself. And unlike Martinelli, he appears more comfortable combining in tight spaces before attacking again. That profile could change how opponents defend Arsenal. Send 2 players towards Saka, and Barcola receives against 1 defender. Protect both wings, and space appears centrally for Rice, Odegaard, Eze, or Gyökeres. That is the tactical case for the transfer. Barcola would not need to replace Saka's production. He would need to make overloading Saka prohibitively dangerous. But now we need to remove the glamour. 11 goals in League One is encouraging. 1 league assist is not evidence of a complete creative winger. Barcola has played inside a PSG team filled with elite attackers, dominant possession, and enormous territorial advantages. Arsenal would be buying projection as well as production. Could his close control translate against more physical Premier League defending? Could he maintain his threat when teams allow Arsenal possession but remove the space behind? Could he produce under the pressure attached to one of the biggest fees in football history? And is he clearly better than every left-wing option Arsenal already possess? Because Arsenal have signed Christos Zolis. They have Easy. They have Madueke. Martinelli remains available. That does not mean Arsenal should refuse an elite opportunity. It means Barcola cannot merely provide another variation. At £145 million, he must own the position. And this is where I partly understand Townsend's argument. He is not necessarily saying Martinelli is the superior footballer. He is questioning the size of the upgrade relative to the money required. That is sensible. If Barcola costs £70 million, you are buying talent and development. At £145 million, you are buying certainty, and Barcola has not yet produced enough certainty to justify that description. So would I swap Martinelli for Barcola? In pure football terms? Yes. Barcola looks better suited to what Arsenal's left side now requires. He can threaten a defender from a standing position, he offers more variation in possession, and at 23, Arteta could still develop him into something exceptional. But would I sell Martinelli and spend £145 million on Barcola? No, not on the evidence available today. That is not an anti-Barcola verdict. It is a price versus certainty verdict. Arsenal have just added Bruno Guimaraes to a title-winning squad. They have already strengthened their left side with Zolis. There are only so many minutes available, and no club should pay £145 million because it has become bored with one of its own players. That is how bad recruitment decisions happen. You identify a genuine weakness, you fall in love with the cleanest possible solution, then you stop asking whether the proposed solution is actually worth its cost. Martinelli's league season deserves criticism. One goal is nowhere near enough. His position should not be guaranteed. He may even need to leave if Arsenal receive a serious offer and he wants regular football. But Arsenal's decision cannot be driven by impatience. At £145 million, Barcola would need to become one of the defining attackers in the Premier League. Not eventually. Quickly. Every quiet match would become a discussion about the fee. Every Martinelli goal elsewhere would revive the comparison, and every Arsenal defeat would bring the same question. Why did the champions spend that much on a position they had already strengthened? My verdict is simple. Barcola is probably an upgrade on the current version of Martinelli, but £145 million better? No, not yet. If PSG's valuation drops dramatically, Arsenal should investigate. If Martinelli leaves and Arteta sees Barcola as the undisputed long-term left winger, the case becomes stronger. But at the reported price, Arsenal would be paying for what Barcola might become rather than what he has conclusively proved. And that matters because transfer fees do not only buy players, they remove alternatives. For £145 million, Arsenal could strengthen multiple areas, protect future windows, or wait for a left winger whose production leaves far less room for doubt. So Townsend's argument is not as ridiculous as it first sounds. Martinelli has Premier League experience. He understands Arsenal. His worst league season did not erase every quality he possesses. Barcola offers a more suitable profile and a higher technical ceiling, but a better player is not automatically a better transfer. That is the distinction Arsenal must protect. Do not ask whether Barcola is better than Martinelli. Ask whether the difference between them is worth one of the largest transfer fees football has ever seen. Right now, my answer is no. Barcola could improve Arsenal. At £145 million, he would need to transform them, and those are not the same thing. Case closed. Subscribe to Cannon Casefile because we do not judge transfers by the highlights. We investigate the football, the risk, and the price Arsenal would actually be paying.